Welcome to my sister's tiny house. I couldn't tell you about the tiny house without telling you about where it came from. So when Alice was 12, she was diagnosed with a type of brain cancer called medulloblastoma, and it was rough. Having brain cancer as a 12-year-old is rough, and she got a Make-A-Wish. And when her and my mom were in the hospital, they watched so many tiny house videos. So when she was granted her Make-A-Wish and they asked her, "What do you want?" she wanted a tiny house. And it has changed a lot since we got it. It came as a she shed. So there was no plumbing, there was no electrical, it wasn't insulated. So my mom has done a lot of work to take the shell of the she shed to turn it into a full home. My sister designed the layout by herself. There is a little sketch on the inside of what she drew for them to come up with this whole house. And then they made a foam core model of it to say, "Is this what you want?" She said, "Yep." And then it turned into this. So the whole thing is about 150 square feet. So let me take you inside, show you around. Before we go inside the tiny house, this is one of my favorite parts of it. We have an outdoor shower back here. So it's just hooked up to a standard hose. And since the tiny house is on the same property as my mom's house, we just run the hose from her house. This is on a water heater that heats up that water. It runs off of the propane tank. And then you can have a nice hot outdoor shower back here. But let me take you inside and show you around. So since the space is so small, there was a lot done in here to make sure that we could get as much storage out of the space as possible, because in 150 square feet, there's not a lot of room to put stuff. So the first thing was actually this bench here. It's not just a couch, it's not just a bench. It does lift up so that we can store a ton of stuff down under here, because that would be a whole lot of wasted space. The one thing you might see in here is there's no table, but there actually is. So this right here is a table that collapses down into the wall so that when you want more floor space and more area in your living room, you can fold the table right down and it goes flat to the wall. But when you want somewhere to eat or play a game, you just fold it up and put this little stand underneath it and voila, you have a table. My sister also has some mobility limitations, so we knew we didn't want a ladder in here because ladders aren't exactly the easiest for her or safest for her to get up and down. So we do have stairs, but the nice thing about the stairs is that gives a lot of space to put stuff. So each of the stairs is actually a cubby, and this bottom stair pulls out and pushes in so that we weren't taking up unnecessary floor space. Here in Maine, it does get quite cold during the winter time, so that is what we have this for. It looks like a nice little fireplace, but it's actually just a space heater. So it just turns on with this remote here, and you can choose how hot you want it to be, and because this is a pretty small space, it heats up pretty quickly. Then on the other side here of the tiny house, we have the kitchen. There is so much storage space in here. Honestly, there's more counter space in this kitchen than I have in my full kitchen. And one of my favorite parts is that because we have such a tiny sink here, there was actually enough room to make this a functional drawer. And so instead of a false drawer like most people have there, we're able to utilize all of this space on either side. You can see here that the sink doesn't actually work. And that's why we have this jug of water here. You just hit the button on top and it dispenses water because we don't currently have plumbing in here. That is the last thing that is still a work in progress, but it's almost there. So then we just have a catch basin underneath the sink to catch the wastewater, and then we dump it out. Then instead of a full-size fridge, we have this mini fridge here, which also includes a freezer. So for the space, this is what fit, and it works pretty well. And then the last piece before we go upstairs is the bathroom. We've talked about this bathroom for so long, so it's very exciting that just in the last few months we've had it put in. For a while before the bathroom was put in, this was just used as a closet, but we had always known that this space would eventually be used for the bathroom. So the things that were done recently, this composting toilet was put in, and then this shower. We went through a lot of different ideas of, did we want to do like a basin kind of tub slash shower? Was this going to be an entire wet room? But eventually it was decided we would do the shower insert because it was easier, more cost effective. We wouldn't have to worry about any leaks. The shower is still kind of a work in progress, and it's being used to store a couple things right now, but it's just a little shower insert there. And the composting toilet makes way more sense for a space like this. And then for a door to conserve space, we have the sliding barn door. And the shower does not currently work because we don't have plumbing yet, but it will be hooked up through some kind of thing that's put over here, and the shower head will be here, will go to this wall, but that is my mom's doing, and that should be happening in the next couple of months. Finally, if we go up the stairs, I'll show you the last part of the tiny house up here, the loft. Up here we have the loft. As you can see, it's a pretty small space, but it does have a decent amount of headroom. Obviously, you can't stand up all the way as a full-size person, but it's not like one of those tiny houses where you're like really trying to crawl like into a very small space to go to bed. So right now up here we have 2 twin-size mattresses. They also do fit together side by side to make a king if you want that. And that's what these are up here. For a time we had it together to be a king, and these were kind of like the sconces next to the bed and the little nightstands. We do also have a TV up here, so you can lay in the loft and watch your TV, because we do have Wi-Fi. There is full electric in the tiny house, so it's not off-grid or anything like that. So that was the full tour of the tiny house. It's not very big, so this wasn't very long, but I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. I'll see you guys later.